Monitor is not a Hezbollah organization, but we are a research institute that promote accountability of NGOs, non-governmental organizations, who are active in Arab-Israeli conflict. Most of them consider themselves as human rights NGOs. Our research shows that they have a narrow political agenda against Israel. I will be focusing on some campaigns that are directly connected to BDS and lawfare worldwide. Have any of you heard the UN Women Commission resolution this week that Israel was the only country that violates women's rights? Not Syria, not Iran, Israel. So this is the UNHRC Commission and its bodies. The United Nations, known as being biased towards Israel. I will be focusing on the United Nations Human Rights Council and its work. We have to remember that this is the body that, since its beginning, counted already 7 fact-finding missions targeting Israel, more than any other country in the world. Israel is the only country with its own permanent agenda item called item number 7. Israel has been discussed in every summit of the committee, and more than 80% of resolutions are against Israel. In the aftermath of the Gaza War, this last summer, many NGOs, human rights NGOs, called for an investigation of alleged Israeli war crimes towards the Palestinian people. Such a commission indeed took place and is actually taking place right now. Its head was Professor William Schabas, which is known as biased towards Israel, has connections with anti-Israeli network of NGOs, and he also admitted to be an advisor to the PLO, and this is why he resigned. Nevertheless, the committee is going to publish its report in June, and NGO Monitor filed a submission to the UNHRC, almost 80 pages, and we explain there why NGOs are not reliable and that UNHRC should not take them as something that is so holy. The purpose of this investigation of Israel is to prepare the legal ground and take Israel to the ICC, the International Criminal Court, which is what the Palestinian Authority wishes to do. The UNHRC focuses almost only on Israel. It ignores the Hamas terror and rockets fired in Israel and its population. It's biased towards Israel, and prior to the investigation commission, the UN budget division said that they have no money for it. And the reconstruction of Gaza also was postponed because of lack of funds. However, the UN found $3 million to invest in a commission against Israel. One of the main problems with the UNHRC is that it is influenced by political advocacy NGOs, which claims cannot be verified, and I'll explain later why. As we saw in Goldstone report in 2009, the majority of the report was a copy-paste from submissions of Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, B'Tselem, and organizations as such, without even checking the facts first. The members of the Commission have no expertise on laws armed of conflict and military operations, as well as NGOs that do not have the right expertise on military ground. For instance, in the Goldstone report, again, they were they cited the numbers of Al-Mazan, B'Tselem, and Palestinian Center for Human Rights regarding the number of Palestinian casualties in Gaza War in 2009. Later on, these numbers were incorrect, and this is just one example. Hamas's strategy, known as to increase the number of casualties in Gaza in order to raise the outrage of the world with Israel. Despite that, non-governmental organizations use the data published by Hamas, which is not verified, and they do not distinguish between combatants and civilians. In an example of B'Tselem, which is an Israeli NGO, this NGO has no access to Gaza because it's an Israeli NGO, and thus he releases information that is based on Palestinian sources, phone interviews with the Gaza residents, which cannot be verified. And independent research showed that they failed to identify at least 14 combatants and said that there were innocent civilians. As you can see here, this is an example of an infographic they use. This is an emotional infographic that shows that houses of innocent people, women and children, have been killed by Israel, but they do not explain why they were killed. They did not explain that Hamas used them as human shields, and this is Hamas's responsibility. So why the NGO claims are unreliable? As I said, they use a lot witness testimony, and even Donatella Rovera, which is the Amnesty's head of field of investigations, admitted that she received an unverified information, inaccurate information from civilians in Gaza that were injured by Palestinian missiles and not by Israel. Other fact is that, as I said before, NGOs do not have the military expertise to conduct such claims, and another Amnesty's staff, the Secretary General, admitted that the NGO is not an expert in military matters. A lot of NGOs distort the international law. For instance, there is a convention in Geneva convention that says that when you use people as human shield, this is a war crime. Nevertheless, Human Rights Watch doesn't see it this way, and they asserted that even if Hamas was cohabitating within civilians, this did not constitute human shielding. A lot of them do not use the word terror while it gets to Hamas. They prefer to name it as resistance and actually give a lot of excuses to Hamas's terror by the name of resistance. A lot of NGOs have ties to terrorist groups, such as the executive director of Palestinian NGO Al-Haq. He was found by the Israeli Supreme Court as a senior activist of PFLP, which is a terror organization recognized by the EU. And some of the NGOs, such as Badil, they promote blatant anti-Semitism, as we can see in those images that they were spreading. And they use violent themes in their graphics, which, as we see in some cases here, suggest the elimination of the state of Israel. Some NGOs claim that in the latest Gaza war, there were 80% of casualties which were innocent civilians. However, independent research showed that 45% were civilians and 55% were combatants. And actually, this is the average number in war that is in urban areas. So in June, the Commission will release its report, and we in NGO Monitor will follow up and see if NGOs claimed once again their mark in the committee as in the Goldstone mission. Another two quick campaigns I wanted to share with you. This is a water campaign against Israel related to BDS movement. Some of Israeli NGOs, along with Palestinian ones, promote lies within Europe with high officials, and in order to divest from Israel, and especially Israeli National Water Organization, Mekorot. One of such examples is there is an organization that called Who Profits, which was conducted from Coalition of Women for Peace, and they say that Mekorot provides much more water to settlements than to Palestinians, when in fact Israel provides twice more water annually to Palestinians than it agreed in Oslo Accords. And another myth says that Mekorot profits from Israeli control over Palestinian captive market under occupation. This again is false claim, because Israel selling water to Palestinians in a loss, Israelis pay 3 times higher price for water than Palestinians. So ironically, those people who are supposed to promote human rights and the well-being of Palestinians, they are the ones who sabotage their well-being. For instance, UN NGO coalition called EWASH, which is very active on this subject in Europe, they prevented the construction of desalinating plant in Gaza, while they were arguing that if Israel will do so, it will claim their legitimacy over occupied Gaza. So in the name of occupation, Israel will not build a plant there. And another latest example, I would say, in my view, the most sophisticated new form of BDS now takes place in the corporate world. NGOs and interest groups are lobbying with ethical committees in CSR companies. CSR is corporate social responsibility, and they just claim that Israel violates human rights, and thus there is no, it's not ethical to make business with Israel. There was a big segment on it last week on Channel 10 News, and it was a big article on this in Israeli economic newspaper called Kalist. If we have 2 more minutes, I'll show you the short video on CSR BDS campaign. That was on Channel 10.
תחזית נוספת במלחמה על התודעה פתחה קואליציית ה-BDS בתחום הסחר, אבל כבר מזמן לא מדובר רק בהחרמת מוצרים כחול לבן.
ב-2005, 2008, 2009, פה ושם סגרו חנות, העבר, אבל זה ממש דברים קטנים. היום מדובר על אותם פעילים, או לפחות על אותה מסגרת של BDS, של חרמות וכו', עם עניבות, עם ג'קטים שנכנסים לתוך חדרים של חברות גדולות.
הם שמים דגש על קרנות פנסיה, על בנקים באירופה.
קמפיין ה-BDS מצליח לחדור לחברות אחריות תאגידית. מדובר בחברות שמודדות חברות מסחריות על פי קריטריונים חברתיים, ובהן עד כמה זכויות העובדים בחברה נשמרות, או עד כמה שומרים פסי הייצור על איכות הסביבה. אבל לאחרונה נולד קריטריון חדש.
היום אחד הקריטריונים זה האם החברות האלה יש להן איזשהו קשר לישראל, במיוחד וקשור לכיבוש או למלחמות או פשעי מלחמה.
ואם כן, יורד להם הדירוג.
אם כן, לא רק שיורד להם הדירוג, אבל אז החברות האלה שצריכים לשקול, האם אנחנו רוצים להמשיך מה שאנחנו עושים בישראל על חשבון להרוויח כספים. ואם רואים שזה פוגע באירופה, מישהו חושב פעמיים לפני שהוא קונה את המוצר, זה משהו קשור בישראל, זה כן יכול להשפיע.
כך ב-2010 משכו בנק דנסקה הדני וקרן ההשקעות PKA את כל השקעותיהם מאלביט. ב-2011 מכרה חברת ויולה השוודית את חלקה בפרויקט הרכבת הקלה בירושלים, ודויטשה בנק הגרמנית פרשה מפרויקט הרכבת שבין תל אביב לירושלים. ב-2012 ניסיון לעצור את קונצרן הענק הבריטי דני G4S מלגשת למכרזים באירופה בשל קשריו עם חברות ישראליות. ב-2013 קרן הנפט הלאומית של נורווגיה הפסיקה להשקיע באפריקה ישראל ובדניה סיבוס. כך עשתה גם קרן ההשקעות האמריקנית TIAA. באותה שנה סירבו 5 חברות יחסי הציבור הגדולות בנורווגיה להצעת ממשלת ישראל לקבל תקציב של $3.5 מיליון. קרן הפנסיה ההולנדית PGGM הפסיקה להשקיע בכמה בנקים ישראליים, בחברת המים ההולנדית ויטנס כבר עצרה את פעילותה עם חברת מקורות הישראלית. הפגנות פעילי BDS גם כבר הפכו תפאורה קבועה מחוץ לישיבות חברי דירקטוריון באילינוי, קונטיקט ושיקגו, שם ממוקמים המטות של תאגידי הענק קטרפילר, HP וג'נרל אלקטריק, לכולם קשרים עם חברות ישראליות, לפחות בינתיים.
יש הרבה לחצים על החברות האלה לצמצם או להפסיק את הפעילויות שלהם בתוך ישראל, והם אומרים ישראל out.
So that summarizes the CSR new sophisticated divestment campaign. And as you can see, we have a lot of work ahead of us. And I personally see in each and every one of you as the ambassador of Israel, and you should obviously rely on reliable information while you do so. And thank you for being here.